Look at your phone right now. Scroll through your contacts. How many names are in there? 300, 500, maybe more. Now ask yourself something harder. If one of those people called you at 2 a.m. in crisis, will you pick up? If you ran into them on the street, will you know what was happening in their life? Will you even remember their last name without looking? Your brain has a limit, a hard biological evolutionary limit on the number of people it can actually know. And that number is 150, not 500, not 1000, not however many followers you have, 150 only. This is not personality flaw. This is not a failure of modern society. This is one of the oldest constraints in the entire human nerve system. And once you understand it, you will never look at your relationship the same way again. In the early 1990s, a British anthropologist named Ruben Dunbar was studying primates, not humans, not monkeys and apes. He was trying to figure out why primates has such unusually large brains compared to their other animals. The answer he found was not about tool use, it was not about forging our survival, it was about gossip. Dunbar discovered that the size of a primate's neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex thought, correlated almost perfectly with the size of its social group. The bigger neocortex relative to rest of brain, the more individual the species could keep track of socially. And when he ran the numbers on humans, the math pointed to one number, 150. He called it the social brain hypothesis. Most people just call it Dunbar's number. Here is what that number actually means. It does not mean you can only recognize 150 faces. Your brain can recognize thousands of faces. It does not mean you can only be polite to 150 people. You interact with strangers every single day. What it means is that your brain can only maintain stable, meaningful, reciprocal social relationships with roughly 150 people at one time. Relationships where you know who they are, what they value, how they relate to others in your group, and where you stand with them. That specific kind of knowing, layered, contextual, emotionally tracked, has ceiling, and 150 is it. Dunbar tasted the across history. He looked at the hunter-gatherer communities from dozens of different cultures across different continents. The average village size around 150. He looked at organizational units of ancient armies, the Roman manipile, the basic fighting unit that held together under pressure, around 150 soldiers. He looked at Neolithic farming settlements preserved in archaeological records across Europe and the Middle East. Again and again, when communities grew past roughly 150 people, something fractured. The group split, a new settlement formed, a sub-tribe branched off. It kept happening independently across cultures that never knew each other existed, and it kept landing near the same number. This is not coincidence. This is a brain doing exactly what it was built to do and hitting its wall. Now here is where it gets more interesting. Dunbar did not just identify one number. He identified a series of nested circles, each one containing a different quality of relationship. The innermost circle holds about 5 people. These are your closest bonds, the people you would call in the middle of the night, the people whose loss would destabilize your life. Psychologist and evolutionary anthropologist Bernard Chapis has described this inner ring as the core support group, the emotional nucleus around which everything else orbits. The next circle out holds around 15. These are close friends and family. People you trust deeply, people you see regularly enough that the relationship stays warm without constant maintenance. When one of these people is in pain, you feel it. Beyond that, a circle of about 50 good friends, people you check in with, share meals with, remember birthdays of her. The relationship takes some effort to maintain, but it does not feel like work. And then the outer ring, the full 150. Meaningful acquaintances, people whose faces you know, whose lives you follow loosely, people you would help if they asked. This is the boundary of what your brain can actually track with social precision. Beyond 150, the social tracking breaks down. You might know their name, you might recognize their face, but the rich relational context, who they are in your life, where you stand, what you owe each other fades, they become background. Not because you are a bad person, because your neocortex was not built for more than this. In 2010, researchers at University of Oxford and Stockholm University ran a study on Facebook usage in the United Kingdom. They found that although the average user had around 150 Facebook friends, most people actively communicated with only 4 to 6 of them on a regular basis. The online network inflated the number of connections. It did not inflate the brain's actual social capacity. A separate analysis of Twitter networks found that regardless of follower count, the number of people any given user genuinely and reciprocally interacted with clustered around you already know the number. The platforms changed, the biology did not. This has enormous implications for how you think about your own life right now. Think about your last job. If your team grew past a certain size, you probably noticed something shifted. Communication got harder. Trust eroded between people who had never directly worked together. Subgroups formed, little alliances, little tensions. This is not bad management. This is group of humans crossing the 150 threshold and fragmenting the way human groups have always fragmented. Think about company you admire. Anthropologist and author Malcolm Gladwell explored this in detail when he wrote about Gore text manufacturer WL. Gore and Associates, the company had a strict policy for decades. Whenever single office or facility hit 150 employees, they built a new building, not because of space, because of what happens to human social cohesion when group exceeds the number. The organization knew something that ORG chart could not capture. Think about a military unit. The United States Marine Corps, one of the most studied high-performance human organizations on Earth, structures its basics fighting company around 180 to 200 soldiers, close enough to Dunbar's number that researchers have noted it for years. The authorities and Anabaptist farming community have a written rule. When a colony reaches 150 members, it splits and founds a new one. They have held this rule for centuries. They did not read the neuroscience. You are not an exception to this. The feeling you get when a group gets too big, when a party has too many people you do not know, when a company loses the feeling of team, that feeling is your neocortex sending you a signal. It is doing its job. But here is the counter initiative twist that almost no one talks about. Dunbar's number is not just a ceiling, it is a budget, and like any budget, how you allocate it matters enormously. Every relationship in your 150 costs some things. It costs cognitive processing, it costs emotional bandwidth, it costs time. Your brain is tracking each of those relationships in the background at all times, their status, their needs, their position in your network. That is expensive. That is why maintaining a true friendship requires what researchers call social grooming, regular contact, shared experience, reciprocal vulnerability. Drop those behaviors and the relationship slides outward through circles. From the 50 to the 150, from the 150 to nothing. This means something profound. The people closest to you right now are not there by accident. They are there because you have both paid the cost again and again. And the reason you cannot simply add more people to the inner circle is not that you do not want to. It is that adding someone means making the room. The budget does not expand. When you moved cities and slowly lost touch with people you swore you will never lose, your brain was not betraying you, it was relocating. When a new friendship grew so quickly, it felt like it replaced an older one. That is not a coincidence, that is exactly what happened. This is ancient, the same mechanism that held a band of 150 gathers together on Savannah 2000 years ago is the same mechanism that determines who texts you back in 30 seconds, who you have not spoken in 2 years. The architecture is identical, only the context change.
Evolutionary psychologist David Buss at the University of Texas has spent decades studying the evolved psychology of human relationships. He argues that most of modern social anxiety, the exhaustion of too many weak ties, the loneliness that can exist inside enormous social network is the result of mismatch. Your brain evolved to navigate a world of 150 people. You are now navigating a world of thousands of faces hardened of digital connections and infinite stream of strangers performing relationships online. The signal gets noisy, the budget gets confused, and the result is that you can feel simultaneously overstimulated by social contact and deeply privately alone. You are not broken, you are 2,100-year-old social animal running in an environment it was never designed for. So the next time someone tells you to network more, build a bigger audience, collect more connection, you can smile because you already know the truth. Your brain has exactly 150 slots, and the only questions worth asking is who you are choosing to put in them. Because tonight, when you scroll through your phone and see all those names, the ones that matter are not the ones you have the most history with. They are not the ones with the most mutual followers. They are the ones you neocortex has decided after millions of years of refinement are worth the cost. That is not limitation, that is the whole point.